We just got something from St. Leo the Great. So we're going to do an unboxing, and this unboxing has brought me to tears. My mailman just rang the doorbell and said, "You got a package from St. Leo the Great." And I was embarrassed, and I didn't know what to say. And I'm like, well, I ordered a relic, and I'm not very well, and I'm hoping that this relic can help me. And then he told me a story about his daughter. He said when she was a little girl, she was very sick and she had cancer, and they said she was not going to make it, that she was not doing very well, not very well at all. And he said they prayed and they prayed and they prayed for a miracle, and now she's 22 years old and has 2 children. And so he said he'll pray for me to get better, to get well again for my incurable disease. And I was just standing there in tears. So this is a very emotional unboxing. So let's get it opened up and talk about it. I forgot to mention, my mailman said he believes in miracles. And he said that's what you have to do. You have to believe. You have to believe that God hears our prayers. And it brought me to tears. And it was like really emotional, and tears were coming into his eyes as well. Like his eyes were welling up with tears. And it was really like the most intense unboxing and receival of a piece of mail. Well, we didn't get to the unboxing yet, but I'm at a loss for words right now because my mailman was tearing up while he was delivering me this package. So let's open it up and we'll do it in fast motion. Here it is. And during shipping, one of the labels that was glued in there came loose. So it would have been on the bottom part, the Baylon. But this is St. Paschal Baylon. Now, a very interesting saint. And so in 1936, there was a Spanish Civil War, which we'll go over. And there's not much of his relics left because of this one thing that happened in 1936. First, we're going to clean this. This actually has the seal on the back. This is unopened up. This was not this has not been opened up since sometime in the 1800s. We got the original seal with the parchment underneath it. And this is really old, boys and girls. And look, the label just fell down over here. We have an ex ossibus. I don't know if you can see that in the center. That is a bone. And we're going to place this in a reliquary to protect this from further damage or aging. And so we're going to go over about the saint. And now this has become very special for me because I had an interesting conversation with my mailman that was very emotional. And so along with this relic comes some kind of emotional feeling. All right, so I'm going to take Simichrone. It's a German metal polish, polishing cloth, lens cleaner to clean the glass, which is mostly alcohol. And we're going to do this in fast motion. It is really dirty, and I feel that it deserves to be taken care of. All right, so I kept as much patina as I could on it, but it's just a little bit of a shine. And here we go. All right, so we're going to place this in a reliquary. We're going to find out what happened to his remains and why this is so important and why it's very, very special to have a first-class holy relic of St. Paschal or Paschal Baylon. All right, so this reliquary was flown all the way in from Germany here to New York, and we're going to place the saint in here. All right, it's in, and now we have to put a stand on this so we can display this. All right, so St. Paschal has his final resting place right here in my china closet with some of my other relics. There we go. I made this beautiful stand for it, really quite lovely. And that little label was loose, and it was like driving me crazy. I finally got it on the very bottom so you can actually read it. And wow, look at this. The German reliquary, the container that holds it, is really quite stunning. And I got this caliber stand on Amazon. And there we go. So this was all the way flown in from Germany just to be able to place this beautiful, amazing relic in something that will protect it for many, many centuries to come. So we have some more relics back here. And this one, though, is really cherished by me. Really extremely cherished by me. Oh, my God, I love it. By the way, we have a 1700s rosary, German rosary. Inside this little silver reliquary, there's the saint of St. Ignatius Loyola, and on the back, St. Mary, Mary Pazza. I don't know if you can see that, Magdalene Pazza, and it says, "Pray for us." Look at that. And this is an 1879 relic crucifix, It opens up. It has the original documents, which is over here. And it opens up and it has the holy relics of about 20 saints in it. Really quite cool. Here's St. Pope Pius X in a beautiful micro mosaic crucifix. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. And we have St. Therese of Lisieux. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. First class relic contained in this beautiful micro mosaic Italian crucifix. And here we go, St. Paschal. St. Paschal of Baylon was a 16th century Spanish Franciscan lay brother renowned for his profound devotion to the Eucharist. Born to a poor peasant family, he worked as a shepherd before joining the friars, where he served humbly as a porter and cook, known for his humility and charity to the poor. He is the patron saint of Eucharistic congresses and associations. Never have in the recent history have we been in more danger as Christians than any other time in the recent 20th century, in my opinion. There's now people in the name of progressives, especially in the USA. In my opinion, progressives are nothing more than Marxists, communists, and socialists. Now, socialism is highly dangerous because socialism is communism light. Now, the reason why St. Paschal or St. Paschal Baylon's remains that I have here are so important is because anti-clerical leftists disinterred and burned most of his body in Villarreal during the Spanish Civil War. Some remains were later recovered and returned. Now we're living in a time where people want to do whatever they want. Nothing wrong with that. As long as you don't bother me, I don't care what you do. But they don't like anyone who is Christian anymore. Reasoning for that is because people want to do whatever they want to do without any kind of second thought about what they're doing is probably impure, sinful, or not a very normal lifestyle. Now, I don't care what somebody's preferences are as long as it doesn't hurt me, but they don't want us around anymore. Now, the desecration of St. Paschal Baylon's body in 1936 was carried out by an anarchist group. Now, we have a lot of these Antifa types all over the world, especially in the United States, that are anarchists. They want to burn the whole system down. What does that mean, boys and girls? If you're anyone of faith, it doesn't even mean if you're basically a Christian. You can be of the Jewish faith, or you can be a Hare Krishna. You could be a Jehovah's Witness, a Mormon. They want it all burned down. So in 1936, his body desecrated. So the burning of his body by an anarchist group in the town of Villarreal, then Villarreal, within the Republican zone during the early months of the Spanish Civil War, 1936 and 1939, which Hitler, by the way, Hitler actually gave them arms and money to actually attack the Christians and the conservatives. This act was part of the widespread and violent Red Terror. Well, we know it as communism, a period of intense anti-clerical and revolutionary violence committed by various leftist groups, including anarchists, socialists, and communists, against the Catholic Church and its perceived supporters. The group responsible for destroying the sanctuary and desecrating the saint's body on August 13, 1936, is generally identified in historical accounts as an anarchist group, specifically mentioned as being from outside the city. Anarchists, and he has the acronym for their group, anarchist militias, often associated with the Iberian Anarchist Federation, FAI, and the National Confederation of Labor, CNT, were among the most active perpetrators of anti-clerical violence in areas like Valencia, Catalonia, and Aragon, Spain, where Villarreal is located. They saw the Catholic Church as a fundamental pillar of the old conservative and order, or the oppressive Ancien regime, alongside the monarchy and wealthy landowners. The wilder Republican faction, the anti-clerical violence was not limited to one group. It was a phenomenon involving various militias and political stripes within the broader Republican faction that fought against Franco-nationalist rebels. The attack on the body of St. Paschal Baylon was an extreme example of the iconoclasm and persecution that swept through the Republican-held territory of Spain. Destruction of institutions, churches, convents, and monasteries was systematically sacked, burned, and destroyed across the Republican zone. The Baroque chapel and the old convent church housing, the saints' remains were reduced to rubble. They targeted the clergy and symbols of the clergy. An estimated 6,832 Catholic clergy, such as bishops, priests, monks, and nuns, were killed by the Republican forces during the war, often simply just for being clergy. Desecration of relics, statues, and in some cases, the bodies of saints, like Baylon's, and recently deceased nuns and priests, was a common manifestation of revolutionary hatred. Motivation: the perpetrators viewed the church as a powerful, wealthy, and politically conservative institution that had historically supported the ruling classes and opposed progressive reform. For the revolutionaries, destroying its symbols, buildings, and relics was a necessary step to dismantle the old order and establish new. Before the Spanish Civil War, St. Paschal Baylon's body was venerated in an incorrupt or miraculous state. However, the 1936 attack destroyed much of it. The anti-clerical group disinterred the body and burned most of it. After the Spanish Civil War ended, some recovered remains were collected. In 1952, a new silver monstrance was installed in the rebuilt Basilica of St. Paschal Baylon, and later the new Royal Chapel, inaugurated in 1992, became the new resting place for the surviving relics of this saint. And so, thus, why my relic is very important, because most of his body was destroyed by the anarchists and communists and socialists and the leftist groups. So we're in a very, very scary time right now, especially in America, because the leftists want to destroy anything that's traditional and good. They want to destroy it all, burn it down. So pretty soon we may have to protect these holy relics from them, because as you see in the United States of America, if you're from America, you see them tearing down statues, tearing down buildings. They're tearing down anything to do with the old history and tradition. So we all have to be worried, as not only Christians, we have to be worried, these communists and these so-called, they call it progressivism, or socialist Democrats. We got to be very careful. These people are very dangerous, boys and girls. They want to take everything that's good with them, tradition and anything to do with being like trying to live a more virtuous life. They want to take it with them and burn it down. So we have to actually save anything to do with any kind of traditionalism. It doesn't even have to be holy relics. We have to save our statues and save our history. So really fast, I'm going to show you a couple of the relics that are just left around. Not very many of his first-class relics are left around, because in 1936 he was burned. All his, his grave, and including him in it, was burned, and there's nothing left but dust. And so this is a very, very important holy relic. Here, there's not very many. Now, mine was made in the 19th century, somewhere probably in the mid to late 19th century. He was canonized in 1690 on October 16th by Pope Alexander VIII. Further honor, in 1897, Pope Leo XIII declared him the patron saint of all Eucharistic confraternities and congresses. Here's the very few first-class relics that you will find from the 19th century. And as you can see, they're not very cheap to acquire. Here's another one, 19th century, with an actual painting of him inside. Now, he's usually housed along with other holy relics as well, like such as the True Cross. There's the relic of the Holy Milk of the Virgin Mary in there as well, and the True Cross. Yet here's another one. So he's housed here with another saint, and you'll find a lot of these with multiple saints in them, but mine is just one saint, Saint Baylon, and I'm really jazzed about having this in my collection. Here's another one, and he's actually housed in here with Saint Paul of the Cross. This is a 19th century one. And another one, this is from Naples. Look at the beautiful arches in there, the columns. He's housed with other saints in there with his picture in the center that was hand-painted. This one is beautiful as well, a 19th century one of an ex-ossibus, but you see the seller crossed out with a black line, because you're not supposed to sell these things. Actually, its body remains. $600. It's very expensive to acquire these relics. And I really love this one, but I don't have $600 right now. Now, this one is a documented 1827 reliquary, housing multiple saints in there, including St. Paschal. And that one is really unique. Here's yet another one, a 19th century teca, holding, look at the beautiful columns in there, multiple saints, including St. Paschal, with an illustration of him in the center. And here's a 1700s one in a beautiful reliquary. And this one was well protected. Thankfully, somebody placed it in this big, beautiful reliquary. That's why I made sure I got a really good one flown in from Germany. And as you can see, these are very expensive to add to your collection. I don't, begrudge anybody. If you can afford it, buy it. So we need to save history. And if it costs, a lot of money and you have that money, I would suggest you save the history, because in the future, we don't know what's going to happen in the United States of America, especially the United States of America, because of what's going on with these leftists and progressives and these democratic socialists. They may want to burn it all down. So we need to protect the relics. Once again, thank you for watching another one of my Holy Relic reveals. This one was a very emotional one. And so now we just saved St. Paschal, who was very pious. He was a shepherd, very, very pious, very devoted to the Eucharist, the body of Jesus. And now we're saving him for future generations to love and venerate. And we're going to save him from the leftists and the communists and the anarchists and all those bad people, boys and girls.